Naval strike groups are actively moving into position. The United States is enforcing a strict, aggressive blockade in the Persian Gulf, directly cutting off one of the most vital waterways on the planet. The administration's posture leaves zero room for misinterpretation. The president has publicly dismissed the idea of a non-nuclear deal, taking to social media to declare that there will be no more Mr. Nice Guy. The center of gravity for this entire operation is the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly a fifth of the world's total oil consumption passes through this narrow maritime choke point every single day. This line chart tracks the immediate market reaction to the blockade. Reports of an extended military standoff caused Brent crude prices to spike, rapidly crossing $117 per barrel. Shutting down this strait strangles energy supply lines and sends immediate shocks through the global economy. Maintaining a grip on this region requires massive resources, and the administration is preparing the bill. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth stands before Congress to deliver a massive financial request. The military needs an enormous injection of capital to sustain operations. This bar chart compares the previous defense spending with Hegseth's current demand. The Pentagon is asking to push the total budget to $1.5 trillion. That is an extra $500 billion, marking the largest single defense hike since World War II. Of that money, $750 billion is earmarked specifically for hardware. The military is prioritizing rapid expansion of the naval fleet and aggressive procurement of new fighter jets. Hardware of this specific type and volume serves a singular purpose. The administration is equipping itself to dictate the terms of power in the Middle East through sustained offensive force. Over in Tehran, the leadership sees the exact same board. Iranian officials have made it clear they will not accept any negotiation that forces them into a position of national humiliation. They are prepared to wait the United States out. Iran sits on a massive stockpile of tactical missiles and military drones, giving them the defensive capacity to stretch this conflict out for years, not months. The friction is already taking a severe physical toll. American military bases across the region have sustained heavy damages from drone and missile strikes, creating a repair bill that will run into the billions. The collateral damage is spilling over the borders. Cities in Saudi Arabia and the UAE have suffered direct infrastructure hits, meaning the United States may soon have to deploy massive financial aid packages just to stabilize its allies. A fast, overwhelming victory makes for good rhetoric, but the ground truth reveals a grinding war of attrition. The costs are piling up long before a single treaty is drafted. As the physical and financial costs climb, the diplomatic coalition is cracking. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has outright refused to contribute British forces to the blockade. Starmer drew a hard line, stating publicly that he will never allow the United Kingdom to be dragged into a conflict that yields zero direct benefit to British national interests. The skepticism isn't contained to Europe. Inside the White House, Vice President J.D. Vance has begun privately questioning the viability of the entire operation. Vance is reportedly raising alarms about the intelligence flowing from the Pentagon. He suspects military leadership is aggressively inflating tactical success rates while systematically burying the true scale of U.S. losses in the desert. An isolated administration fighting an expensive war with fractured internal trust creates extreme vulnerability, and they are racing straight toward a non-negotiable legal deadline. The United States operates under a law called the 1973 War Powers Resolution Act. It places a hard, unyielding limit on a president's ability to wage unauthorized combat. 60 days. The commander-in-chief has exactly 2 months to deploy troops without explicit approval. Once that clock hits zero, a mandatory vote is triggered in the American Parliament. The administration is closing in on that deadline right now. If Congress votes no, the president is stripped of his authority and the war legally ends that very day. All the rhetoric, all the warships, and the $1.5 trillion spending plans are completely subordinate to this single piece of legislation. Congress now holds a binary choice. They either officially endorse a multi-trillion-dollar, multi-year war in the Middle East, or they pull the plug and watch the administration's strategy instantly collapse. Getting that approval requires broad consensus. But with allies like the UK walking away and the vice president expressing severe internal doubts, the administration is running low on political capital. It is an incredible display of checks and balances. A military machine capable of blockading oceans and spending trillions of dollars can be entirely deactivated by a handful of politicians raising their hands in a room. The ticking legal clock in Washington, D.C., currently poses a more immediate risk to the administration's $1.5 trillion strategy than any foreign military force.